Acoustic communication involves the transmission of information through sound waves, a crucial aspect of interaction in the animal kingdom. This form of communication is especially important in environments where visual signals may be limited or ineffective, such as dense forests, underwater habitats, or during the night. Acoustic signals can be used by animals for a variety of purposes, including mating, territorial defense, navigation, and predator avoidance. Sounds travel through air, water, or substrates, and animals have evolved specialized vocalization structures and sensory systems to produce and detect sounds. Acoustic communication is widely observed in species ranging from insects and birds to mammals and marine animals. It allows individuals to transmit information over long distances, effectively overcoming environmental barriers like darkness, vegetation, or obstacles. Types of acoustic signal. 1. Vocalizations. Vocalizations are sounds produced by animals, usually through the vibration of specialized vocal cords or other structures. These can be simple sounds or complex patterns that convey different messages depending on the context. Types of vocalizations. Mating calls. Many animals produce calls to attract mates, signaling their availability and quality as a mate. Example, male frogs produce loud calls to attract females during the breeding season. Territorial calls. Vocalizations can signal ownership of a territory and deter other individuals from entering or contesting the space. Example, birdsong is commonly used by males to advertise their presence and defend a territory. Alarm calls. These vocalizations alert others to potential danger, such as the presence of a predator, prompting a flight or defensive behavior. Example, meerkats produce sharp alarm calls when they spot a predator, which triggers an escape response from the group. Social calls. These calls help coordinate group activities, such as foraging, hunting, or migration. Example, dolphins use whistles to communicate with other members of their pod, coordinating group movements and hunting. Mechanism of vocalization. In mammals, vocalizations are produced by the larynx, voice box, where air passing over the vocal cords creates sound waves. The sound is then modified by the mouth, tongue, and other vocal apparatus. Birds use a specialized organ called the syrinx to produce sounds. The syrinx allows for a wide range of vocalizations and is more flexible than the larynx. Insects, such as crickets, produce sound by rubbing certain body parts together, a process known as stridulation. 2. Non-vocal acoustic signals. In addition to vocalizations, many animals produce non-vocal sounds, which can be used for communication. These include drumming, stridulation, and clicking sounds. Examples of non-vocal acoustic signals. Stridulation. Many insects produce sound by rubbing body parts together, such as the legs of crickets or the wings of grasshoppers. Example, male crickets produce a distinct chirping sound by rubbing their forewings together to attract females. Drumming. Some animals, especially woodpeckers, create rhythmic drumming sounds by rapidly pecking on trees, which can serve to attract mates or mark territory. Example, woodpeckers drum on tree trunks to establish territory and communicate with other woodpeckers. Clicking. Certain animals, particularly in the aquatic environment, produce clicking sounds that are used for echolocation or as part of a social communication system. Example, dolphins and whales produce clicks and whistles for echolocation and communication within their pods. Functions of acoustic communication. 1. Mate attraction. Many species rely on vocal signals to attract mates. These vocalizations often serve as an indicator of the individual's health, genetic quality, and readiness to mate. Birdsong. Male birds often sing elaborate songs to attract females. The complexity and duration of the song can indicate the male's fitness, with healthier males producing more complex and frequent songs. Frog calls. Male frogs call during the breeding season to attract females. The frequency and duration of the call can indicate the male's stamina and genetic quality. 2. Territorial defense. Acoustic signals are often used by animals to defend their territories. By producing loud calls or songs, individuals can advertise their presence and deter competitors. Birdsong. Males sing to defend their territories from other males. The louder and more frequent the song, the more likely it is that the singer will intimidate rivals and secure a mate. Howler monkeys. Male howler monkeys produce loud howls that can be heard over long distances, signaling territorial boundaries and warning other males to stay away. 3. Communication and coordination. Social animals. Acoustic communication plays a critical role in coordinating group activities, such as foraging, hunting, migration, and defense. Dolphins. Dolphins use a variety of whistles and clicks to communicate with other pod members, coordinating hunting strategies and maintaining group cohesion. Elephants. Elephants use infrasound, low-frequency sounds that travel long distances to communicate over large areas, often used for coordinating movements of herds. 4. Predator avoidance. Alarm calls are an important form of communication used to warn others of approaching predators. Meerkats. Meerkats issue an alarm call when they spot a predator, such as a bird of prey. The call causes other members of the group to retreat to safety. Squirrels. Squirrels produce a high-pitched warning call when they spot a predator, alerting nearby squirrels to the danger. Mechanisms of sound production and reception. Sound production. Mammals. In mammals, sound is produced by the larynx, voice box, where air from the lungs passes over the vocal cords to produce sound. The pitch, volume, and tone of the sound can be controlled by the tension and movement of the vocal cords. Birds. Birds use the syrinx, a unique vocal apparatus located at the junction of the trachea and the bronchi. The syrinx can produce a variety of complex sounds, allowing birds to produce multiple notes simultaneously. Insects. Insects use different mechanisms for sound production, including stridulation, rubbing body parts together, or drumming, tapping on surfaces. Sound reception. Most animals, including mammals and birds, have specialized ears that can detect sound waves. In mammals, the eardrum vibrates in response to sound, and these vibrations are transmitted to the brain via the auditory nerve. Antennae. Insects often use specialized sensory structures, such as antennae, to detect sounds. For example, moths have highly sensitive antennae to detect the ultrasonic sounds emitted by bats during echolocation. Vibrational communication. Some animals, such as spiders and certain insects, can detect sound through vibrations transmitted through surfaces like the ground or plant stems. Advantages and disadvantages of acoustic communication. Advantages. Long-range communication. Acoustic signals can travel over long distances, allowing animals to communicate across large areas, such as when birds sing to defend territories. Affecting low visibility. Sound can travel in conditions where vision is limited, such as at night or in dense vegetation, making it a reliable mode of communication. Immediate signaling. Acoustic signals can be emitted quickly in response to a threat, such as alarm calls and prey animals when a predator is nearby. Overcomes physical barriers. Acoustic signals can pass through water, air, or substrates, making them versatile for different environments. Disadvantages. Energy cost. Producing loud or frequent vocalizations can be energetically costly for animals, especially during mating seasons or territorial disputes. Predator attraction. While acoustic signals can serve to communicate with conspecifics, they can also attract predators, making individuals more vulnerable. Environmental interference. Sound waves can be distorted or dampened by environmental factors such as wind, rain, and terrain, reducing the clarity of the signal. Examples in nature. 1. Birds. Birdsong is perhaps the most well-known form of acoustic communication. Male birds sing to establish territories, attract mates, and warn rivals. Some species, like nightingales, are known for their complex and beautiful songs, which are also indicators of health and genetic fitness. 2. Bats. Bats use echolocation to navigate and locate prey. By emitting high-frequency sounds and listening to the echoes that bounce back, bats can map out their environment in complete darkness, allowing them to hunt efficiently. 3. Dolphins. Dolphins use a sophisticated system of whistles and clicks for social communication and echolocation. Each dolphin has a unique signature whistle, which is used to identify and call individuals within the pod. Conclusion. Acoustic communication is a crucial aspect of animal behavior that serves a wide range of functions, from attracting mates to warning of predators. The ability to produce and perceive sounds allows animals to interact effectively in their environments, overcoming barriers like darkness and physical obstructions. The evolution of vocalization and acoustic signaling systems highlights the adaptive strategies animals have developed to ensure their survival and reproductive success. Practice questions. Gave previous year questions 1. Recall. Question. What are the primary functions of acoustic communication in animals? Answer. The primary functions of acoustic communication are mate attraction, territorial defense, alarm signaling, and social coordination. 2. Comprehension. Question. How do male birds use song to establish territories? Answer. Male birds use song to advertise their presence in established territory. The song signals to other males that the territory is already claimed and helps prevent direct confrontations. The complexity and frequency of a song can also indicate the male's health and fitness, which may attract females. 3. Application. Question. Design an experiment to study the role of vocalizations in mate selection in frogs. Answer. An experiment could involve setting up controlled enclosures where female frogs are presented with 2 male frogs, one calling and one silent. The number of females approaching each male and the time spent near each could be measured to determine whether the female's choice is influenced by the male's vocalization. This comprehensive overview of acoustic communication in animals provides a deeper understanding of how sound functions in the animal kingdom to convey information essential for survival and reproduction. You said. And visual signaling. ChatGPT said. ChatGPT. Visual signaling in animals. A detailed overview introduction. Visual signaling is a form of communication where animals convey information using visual cues or displays. These signals can involve body posture, movements, colors, patterns, or the use of specific structures such as bright feathers, brightly colored skin, or tail displays. Unlike auditory communication, which can travel over long distances, visual signals are often limited to shorter ranges and are typically effective in environments where the sender and receiver are in direct sight of one another. Limitations. Visual communication is still essential for various functions such as mate attraction, territorial defense, and social interaction. Visual signals are diverse and can be classified based on the type of information being conveyed, the sender's intent, and the context of the interaction. They can be static, e.g., body coloration, or dynamic, e.g., movement or postures, and the signals can be conspicuous or cryptic, depending on whether the animal wants to attract attention or avoid it. Types of visual signals. 1. Coloration and patterning. Animals often use color and patterns to convey important information. These signals can vary in their function, such as attracting mates, warning predators, or camouflaging. Examples of coloration and patterning. Mating displays. Bright colors and patterns can signal sexual maturity, health, and genetic quality. For example, the peacock displays its large, colorful tail feathers to attract females. The tail size and vivid coloration indicate the male's fitness and genetic quality. Warning colors. Aposematism. Some animals, particularly poisonous or venomous species, display bright and contrasting colors to warn potential predators of their dangerous nature. For example, poison dart frogs have brightly colored skin, signaling to predators that they are toxic. Cryptic coloration. Camouflage. Some species use color patterns to blend into their environment and avoid detection by predators. For example, the stick insect looks like a twig, and cuttlefish can rapidly change color to blend into their surroundings. Mechanisms of color change. Pigment. Some animals have pigments in their skin or feathers that produce colors, such as melanin for brown, black colors, or carotenoids for reds, yellows. Structural colors. Colors like blue or green in certain animals, such as the blue jay, are created by the physical structure of their feathers or scales, which reflect light in specific ways. Chromatophores. Certain animals, like chameleons and octopuses, have specialized cells that can expand or contract to change the color of their skin, offering both communication and camouflage function. 2. Body postures and movements. Body postures and movements are dynamic visual signals used by animals to communicate intentions, emotions, or warnings. This can involve the positioning of limbs, facial expressions, or other body parts. Examples of postures and movements. Dominance and aggression. Many animals use postures to display dominance or aggression, signaling to rivals that they should back off. For example, male gorillas will display their size by standing upright and puffing out their chests to intimidate other males. Submissive behavior. Animals may use submissive postures to avoid confrontation, such as dogs lowering their body or exposing their belly to signal submission to a dominant individual. Mating displays. In some species, animals use specific body movements to attract mates. For example, male bowerbirds decorate their nests with objects like flowers or leaves, while performing dances to attract females. 3. Signal structures and ornamentation. Some animals have evolved stylized physical structures, such as tail displays, horns, or antlers, which serve as visual signals. Examples of signal structures. Peacock's tail. The male peacock has evolved large, colorful tail feathers that it fans out during courtship displays. These elaborate displays are a signal of the male's genetic fitness, and females choose mates based on the size and quality of the tail feathers. Deer antlers. Male deer use antlers as visual signals during the mating season. The size and strength of antlers signal dominance and fitness, and males often engage in combat by locking antlers to establish dominance over a territory or mate. Spider webs. Male spiders create elaborate webs that act as both a territorial marker and a mating signal. In some species, males will dance or perform specific movements on their webs to signal interest to females. 4. Behavioral displays. Animals often perform specific behaviors that act as visual signals. These behaviors may be repetitive or exaggerated to attract attention or communicate a particular message. Examples of behavioral displays. Bird courtship displays. Male birds often perform elaborate dances, songs, or show off colorful plumage to attract. The sage grouse, for example, inflates its visual systems in animals. Mammals. Mammals generally have well-developed color vision, with some species, like primates, being able to perceive a wide range of colors. Their eyes are equipped with rods for low-light vision and cones for color vision. Birds. Birds have excellent color vision, often better than humans, and can see ultraviolet light, which is used in some species for communication. Insects. Many insects, such as bees, can perceive ultraviolet light and polarized light, which can be used for navigating and detecting flowers, which often have UV patterns visible only to them. Advantages and disadvantages of visual signaling. Advantages. Instantaneous communication. Visual signals can be instantly perceived and understood, allowing for immediate responses. Efficient over short distances. In areas where sound may be ineffective, e.g., dense forests, visual signals provide a way to communicate within close range. Clear signaling. Visual signals can be highly specific, making them effective in conveying detailed information about an individual's fitness, intentions, or emotions. Disadvantages. Limited range. Visual signals are limited to line-of-sight communication, meaning they may not be effective over long distances or in obstructed environments. Predator attraction. Bright or conspicuous visual signals can attract predators, especially if the animal is vulnerable during the display, e.g., mating displays. Energy cost. Performing elaborate visual displays or maintaining brightly colored traits can be energetically costly for the individual. Examples in nature. 1. Male birds. Many bird species perform intricate courtship displays using visual signals. Male bowerbirds are particularly famous for decorating their nests with colorful objects to attract females, who prefer males with the most impressive collections. 2. Cuttlefish. Cuttlefish are masters of visual signaling and can rapidly change their skin color and texture to communicate with other cuttlefish, to confuse predators, or to attract mates. 3. Fireflies. Fireflies use bioluminescent light as a visual signal for mating. Each species has a specific pattern of light flashes, which allows individuals to find potential mates. Practice questions. Gate previous year questions 1. Recall. Question. What are the primary functions of visual signaling in animals? Answer. The primary functions of visual signaling are mate attraction, territorial defense, social interaction, and predator warning. 2. Comprehension. Question. How do male birds use visual displays in courtship? Answer. Male birds use visual displays, such as feather coloration, tail fanning, or dances, to attract females. These displays signal the male's health, genetic quality, and suitability as a mate. 3. Application. Question. Design an experiment to test whether bright coloration in poison dart frogs is an effective warning signal to predators. Answer. An experiment could involve placing frogs with bright coloration and dull coloration in environments with predator species. Observing predator interactions and the rate of attack on each type of frog would indicate whether bright coloration acts as an effective warning signal. This comprehensive overview of visual signaling in animals highlights the diversity of communication methods and their roles in reproduction, territory defense, and social interaction, helping animals adapt to their environments and increase their survival chances. You said. Recognition systems. ChatGPT said. ChatGPT. Recognition systems in animals. A detailed overview introduction. Recognition systems in animals are mechanisms that allow individuals to identify and differentiate other individuals, often for purposes of social interaction, mate selection, territory defense, or avoiding inbreeding. These systems rely on various cues, such as visual signals, chemical signals, acoustic signals, or behavioral patterns. Recognition is essential for group-living animals, as it helps them establish relationships, maintain social structures, and reduce conflicts. Recognition systems can be categorized into self-recognition, kin recognition, individual recognition, and species recognition. Each type serves a different purpose, whether it is recognizing kin for cooperative behavior, recognizing a mate for reproduction, or recognizing rivals for territory defense. Types of recognition systems. 1. Self-recognition. Self-recognition refers to an individual's ability to distinguish itself from others. This ability is often tested using the mirror test, where an animal is marked with a visible mark on its body that it cannot see without the aid of a mirror. If the animal touches or investigates the mark after seeing its reflection, it demonstrates self-recognition. Examples of self-recognition. Great apes, chimpanzees, orangutans, and gorillas have passed the mirror test, indicating the ability to recognize themselves. Dolphins. Bottlenose dolphins have shown the ability to recognize themselves in a mirror, demonstrating a high level of self-awareness. Elephants. Some elephants also pass the mirror test, showing that they can recognize themselves. Self-recognition is linked to cognitive complexity and is believed to be an important aspect of higher intelligence in animals. 2. Kin recognition. Kin recognition is the ability of an individual to identify and distinguish between kin, relatives, and non-kin. This recognition is essential for promoting kin selection, where animals behave in ways that increase the reproductive success of their relatives, even at a cost to their own survival. Mechanisms of kin recognition. Chemical cues. Many animals, such as insects and mammals, rely on chemical signals, such as pheromones, to recognize kin. For example, ants can recognize their nestmates through unique chemical signatures on their cuticles. Spatial proximity. In some species, young animals may learn to recognize their siblings based on shared proximity or familiarity within the same home range. Vocal cues. Young mammals, such as wolves or elephants, individuals may recognize relatives based on shared vocalizations, such as howls or trumpet. Examples of kin recognition. Social insects. In honeybees, workers can recognize their queen and each other through pheromone signatures. This helps maintain colony organization and ensures that only the queen reproduces. Mammals. In elephants, young calves are often raised in matrilineal groups where kin recognition helps maintain strong familial bonds and ensure that resources are shared among close relatives. 3. Individual recognition. Individual recognition allows animals to identify specific individuals within their species, which is essential for social interactions such as mate selection, cooperation, and competition. Recognition systems based on individual traits often involve visual cues, vocalizations, and behaviors that are unique to each individual. Mechanisms of individual recognition. Facial features. Many species, especially primates, use facial features for individual recognition. For example, chimpanzees use facial expressions and physical characteristics to identify other group members. Vocalizations. Many animals have unique calls or vocalizations that allow them to identify individuals. This is particularly common in birds, whales, and primates. Behavioral patterns. In some species, individuals may develop unique behaviors or signatures that are used for recognition. For example, some bird species are known to recognize each other by the specific patterns of song they sing. Examples of individual recognition. Primates. Chimpanzees can recognize each other by their facial expressions, vocalizations, and body postures. They use this ability to maintain group cohesion and establish dominance hierarchies. Cuttlefish. Cuttlefish can recognize individual group members based on specific color patterns and body postures that they display during social interactions. Dolphins. Bottlenose dolphins have signature whistles that are used to identify individual dolphins, allowing them to maintain complex social relationships within pods. 4. Species recognition. Species recognition is the ability of an animal to identify members of its own species, which is crucial for mating and avoiding interspecies competition. This type of recognition ensures that mating occurs between individuals of the same species, thereby ensuring reproductive success. Mechanisms of species recognition. Morphological traits. Animals may recognize their species through distinct physical features such as size, shape, and coloration. For example, male frogs recognize females of their own species through specific calls that are species-specific. Vocalizations. In many species, animals use species-specific calls to identify potential mates or group members. For example, whales produce species-specific songs during mating seasons. Chemical cues. Some species use pheromones to identify individuals of their own species. For example, moths use chemical signals to locate mates of the same species. Examples of species recognition. Frogs. In tree frogs, males recognize females of their species by the specific calls they make. The frequency and pattern of these calls are unique to each species. Whales. Humpback whales produce distinctive songs that are recognized by other individuals of the same species, particularly during mating seasons. Fish. In some species of fish, individuals recognize each other based on coloration or body patterns that are specific to their species. Functions of recognition systems. 1. Mate selection. Recognition systems help individuals identify potential mates, ensuring that reproduction occurs between individuals of the same species or within the same population. In many species, individuals are more likely to mate with those they can recognize as having similar genetic traits, which can enhance the fitness of offspring. Mating calls. In some species, males produce distinctive mating calls that females use to recognize potential mates. Courtship displays. In other species, males may perform specific behaviors, such as dances or visual displays, to attract mates of the same species. 2. Kin selection and cooperation. Kin recognition plays an important role in kin selection, where individuals help relatives to increase the chances of their own genes being passed on. Recognition systems allow individuals to distinguish kin from non-kin, facilitating cooperative behavior among relatives. Helping behavior. In social species like meerkats and wolves, individuals will often help raise the young of close relatives, increasing their inclusive fitness. 3. Social structure and hierarchy. Recognition systems also play a key role in the establishment of social structures. Animals that live in groups need to recognize their group members to maintain order and avoid unnecessary conflict. In primate groups, for example, recognition of kin and other group members is vital for maintaining dominance hierarchies and cooperative bonds. 4. Territoriality. Recognition systems can help individuals recognize intruders and defend their territory. Animals may use visual cues or vocalizations to identify potential threats or rivals and defend their home range. Mechanisms and evolution of recognition systems. Genetic basis of recognition. Recognition systems are often driven by genetic factors. In kin recognition, individuals may be able to recognize relatives through genetic similarities, which can help promote cooperation. Genetic markers, such as MHC, major histocompatibility complex genes, may also play a role in individual and kin recognition. Learning and recognition. Some animals, particularly those with longer lifespans and complex social structures, may learn to recognize individuals over time. For example, dogs can learn to recognize specific humans and other animals through social interactions. Practice questions. Gave previous year questions. 1. Recall. Question. How do animals use recognition systems to maintain social structure within groups? Answer. Animals use recognition systems, such as individual and kin recognition, to establish social hierarchies, form cooperative bonds, and prevent unnecessary conflicts within groups. These systems help maintain order and ensure effective communication. 2. Comprehension. Question. Describe the role of kin recognition and kin selection. Answer. Kin recognition enables individuals to distinguish between kin and non-kin, allowing them to engage in cooperative behavior with relatives. This behavior increases the reproductive success of kin, ultimately enhancing the individual's inclusive fitness. 3. Application. Question. Design an experiment to test kin recognition in a species of social insects, such as ants. Answer. The experiment could involve creating 2 groups of ants, one group where individuals are closely related and another where individuals are unrelated. By observing behaviors such as food sharing, nest mate recognition, or aggressive interactions, we could determine whether ants preferentially cooperate with or assist kin over non-kin. This comprehensive overview of recognition systems in animals emphasizes the significance of these mechanisms for social interaction, cooperation, and mate selection. Recognition plays a crucial role in the survival and reproductive success of individuals across species. You said, foraging ecology. ChatGPT said, ChatGPT. Foraging ecology, a detailed overview introduction. Foraging ecology refers to the study of how animals search for, acquire, and consume food. It is an essential aspect of behavioral ecology because the methods animals use to obtain resources are closely tied to their survival and reproductive success. Animals are faced with trade-offs between energy intake and the costs of obtaining food, and these decisions are shaped by the availability of resources, competition, and predation risks. Foraging behavior can be influenced by various ecological factors, including resource abundance, the spatial distribution of food, the presence of competitors, and the risk of predation. Animals have evolved a variety of strategies to optimize their foraging success, and these strategies can vary widely between species and across different ecological contexts. Key concepts in foraging ecology. 1. Optimal foraging theory, OFT. Optimal foraging theory, OFT, is a model used to predict how an animal should behave when foraging to maximize its fitness. According to OFT, animals should forage in such a way that the rate of energy intake is maximized while minimizing the energy expenditure and risks involved. Key components of OFT. Energy maximization. Animals should choose foraging strategies that increase their net energy intake. This means selecting food that provides the most energy for the least effort or time. Handling time. The amount of time an animal spends processing food. Key concepts in foraging ecology. 1. Optimal foraging theory, OFT. Optimal foraging theory, OFT, is a model used to predict how an animal should behave when foraging to maximize its fitness. According to OFT, animals should forage in such a way that the rate of energy intake is maximized while minimizing the energy expenditure and risks involved. Key components of OFT. Energy maximization. Animals should choose foraging strategies that increase their net energy intake. This means selecting food that provides the most energy for the least effort or time. Handling time. The amount of time an animal spends processing food, e.g., catching, handling, and consuming, is a critical factor in the foraging decision-making process. The shorter the handling time, the more efficient the foraging. Search time. This refers to the time an animal spends searching for food. Longer search times may decrease the overall efficiency of foraging, as energy is spent searching rather than consuming. Risk of predation. Foraging in risky environments, i.e., environments with predators, often forces animals to balance the benefits of finding food with the need to avoid predators. Application of OFT. Patch choice. When food is not uniformly distributed, animals often face decisions about whether to stay in a patch, a resource-rich area, or move to a new one. According to OFT, animals should leave a patch once the energy gained from it becomes less than the energy spent to obtain it. Diet breadth. Animals may diversify their diet, selecting foods with different energy contents to increase the chances of obtaining food. According to OFT, animals should include a range of food items in their diet to increase foraging efficiency, especially when food availability is uncertain. 2. Foraging strategies. Foraging strategies refer to the different approaches animals use to find and consume food. These strategies are often shaped by the environment, species characteristics, and the type of food being sought. Types of foraging strategies. Generalist foragers. Generalists are animals that consume a wide variety of food types. For example, raccoons are generalist foragers that will consume fruits, insects, small vertebrates, and even human food scraps. Specialist foragers. Specialists are animals that focus on a narrow range of food types. For example, koalas are specialist foragers that feed primarily on eucalyptus leaves. Scavenging. Scavengers are animals that feed on the remains of dead animals. Vultures, for instance, are specialized scavengers that feed on carcasses of large animals. 3. The marginal value theorem, MVT. The marginal value theorem is a model that extends the principles of optimal foraging by describing how an animal should behave when foraging in a patchy environment. According to MVT, an animal should leave a resource patch when the rate of energy gain in the patch falls below the average rate of energy gain in the environment. Key concepts in MVT. Patch quality. If a foraging patch is rich in resources, an animal will stay longer to take advantage of the abundance. However, as resources in the patch are depleted, the rate of energy intake declines, and the animal may decide to move to a new patch. Travel time. The time it takes for an animal to travel between patches influences foraging behavior. If travel time is short, an animal may stay longer in each patch. If travel time is long, it may switch patches more quickly. Energy intake versus time spent. The goal of an animal is to maximize energy intake per unit of time spent foraging. The animal must decide when the benefits of staying in a patch outweigh the costs of remaining in that patch. 4. Risk-sensitive foraging. Risk-sensitive foraging is a strategy where animals adjust their foraging behavior based on the perceived risk of predation. Animals in environments with high predator density may be more cautious and choose foraging sites that offer protection, even if those sites offer fewer resources. Factors affecting risk-sensitive foraging. Predation risk. Animals must balance the rewards of foraging with the potential risk of being preyed upon. For example, mice in open fields are more likely to forage in areas with cover to avoid predators like owls or hawks. Foraging in safe areas. Animals may choose suboptimal foraging patches if these areas offer better protection from predators. For example, bighorn sheep may graze in areas with high cover, even if the available forage is of lower quality. Examples of risk-sensitive foraging. Ground squirrels. These animals are known to forage in the open but will reduce their activity in areas where predation risk is high. They balance their need for food with the threat of predators such as hawks. Fish. In aquatic environments, fish often balance the need to forage with the need to avoid predators. For instance, guppies may forage more actively in the presence of fewer predators, but they tend to seek refuge in plant cover when the risk of predation increases. Factors influencing foraging behavior. 1. Food availability. The abundance and distribution of food in the environment directly influence foraging behavior. Animals in areas with abundant food may forage less intensely or may spend less time searching. On the other hand, animals in resource-poor environments must intensify their foraging efforts. Example. Lions. Lions are more likely to hunt alone when food is scarce, such as during a drought, while they often hunt in groups when prey is abundant. 2. Environmental factors. Environmental factors such as weather, daylight, and habitat type also influence foraging. For example, many animals are more active at dawn or dusk, crepuscular foraging, to avoid daytime predators and conserve energy. Example. Nocturnal foragers. Animals like bats and owls are adapted for nocturnal foraging, which allows them to avoid daytime predators and capitalize on different prey. 3. Competition. The presence of competitors can alter foraging strategies. If food resources are limited, animals may adopt aggressive behaviors to secure access to food, or they may change their foraging patterns to avoid conflict. Example. Birds. In species like pigeons, when food is scarce, individuals may forage more in groups to reduce the risk of predation, even though it increases competition. Foraging energy maximization. Key components of OFT. Energy maximization. Animals should choose foraging strategies that increase their net energy intake. This means selecting food that provides the most energy for least. Handling time. The amount of time an animal spends processing food, e.g., catching, handling, and consuming, is a critical factor in the foraging decision-making process. The shorter the handling time, the more efficient the foraging. Search time. This refers to the time an animal spends searching for food. Longer search times may decrease the overall efficiency of foraging, as energy is spent searching rather than consuming. Risk of predation. Foraging in risky environments, i.e., environments with predators, often forces animals to balance the benefits of finding food with the need to avoid predators. Application of OFT. Patch choice. When food is not uniformly distributed, animals often face decisions about whether to stay in a patch, a resource-rich area, or move to a new one. According to OFT, animals should leave a patch once the energy gained from it becomes less than the energy spent to obtain it. Diet breadth. Animals may diversify their diet, selecting foods with different energy contents to increase the chances of obtaining food. According to OFT, animals should include a range of food items in their diet to increase foraging efficiency, especially when food availability is uncertain. 2. Foraging strategies. Foraging strategies refer to the different approaches animals use to find and consume food. These strategies are often shaped by the environment, species characteristics, and the type of food being sought. Types of foraging strategies. Generalist foragers. Generalists are animals that consume a wide variety of food types. For example, raccoons are generalist foragers that will consume fruits, insects, small vertebrates, and even human food scraps. Specialist foragers. Specialists are animals that focus on a narrow range of food types. For example, koalas are specialist foragers that feed primarily on eucalyptus leaves. Scavenging. Scavengers are animals that feed on the remains of dead animals. Vultures, for instance, are specialized scavengers that feed on carcasses of large animals. 3. The marginal value theorem, MVT. The marginal value theorem is a model that extends the principles of optimal foraging by describing how an animal should behave when foraging in a patchy environment. According to MVT, an animal should leave a resource patch when the rate of energy gain in the patch falls below the average rate of energy gain in the environment. Key concepts in MVT. Patch quality. If a foraging patch is rich in resources, an animal will stay longer to take advantage of the abundance. However, as resources in the patch are depleted, the rate of energy intake declines, and the animal may decide to move to a new patch. Travel time. The time it takes for an animal to travel between patches influences foraging behavior. If travel time is short, an animal may stay longer in each patch. If travel time is long, it may switch patches more quickly. Energy intake versus time spent. The goal of an animal is to maximize energy intake per unit of time spent foraging. The animal must decide when the benefits of staying in a patch outweigh the costs of remaining in that patch. 4. Risk-sensitive foraging. Risk-sensitive foraging is a strategy where animals adjust their foraging behavior based on the perceived risk of predation. Animals in environments with high predator density may be more cautious and choose foraging sites that offer protection, even if those sites offer fewer resources. Factors affecting risk-sensitive foraging. Predation risk. Animals must balance the rewards of foraging with the potential risk of being preyed upon. For example, mice in open fields are more likely to forage in areas with cover to avoid predators like owls or hawks. Foraging in safe areas. Animals may choose suboptimal foraging patches if these areas offer better protection from predators. For example, bighorn sheep may graze in areas with high cover, even if the available forage is of lower quality. Examples of risk-sensitive foraging. Ground squirrels. These animals are known to forage in the open but will reduce their activity in areas where predation risk is high. They balance their need for food with the threat of predators such as hawks. Fish. In aquatic environments, fish often balance the need to forage with the need to avoid predators. For instance, guppies may forage more actively in the presence of fewer predators, but they tend to seek refuge in plant cover when the risk of predation increases. Factors influencing foraging behavior. 1. Food availability. The abundance and distribution of food in the environment directly influence foraging behavior. Animals in areas with abundant food may forage less intensely or may spend less time searching. On the other hand, animals in resource-poor environments must intensify their foraging efforts. Example. Lions. Lions are more likely to hunt alone when food is scarce, such as during a drought, while they often hunt in groups when prey is abundant. 2. Environmental factors. Environmental factors such as weather, daylight, and habitat type also influence foraging. For example, many animals are more active at dawn or dusk, crepuscular foraging, to avoid daytime predators and conserve energy. Example. Nocturnal foragers. Animals like bats and owls are adapted for nocturnal foraging, which allows them to avoid daytime predators and capitalize on different prey. 3. Competition. The presence of competitors can alter foraging strategies. If food resources are limited, animals may adopt aggressive behaviors to secure access to food, or they may change their foraging patterns to avoid conflict. Example. Birds. In species like pigeons, when food is scarce, individuals may forage more in groups to reduce the risk of predation, even though it increases competition. Foraging behavior and evolution. Foraging behavior has evolved in response to ecological pressures, such as the availability of food, the risk of predation, and the need to compete with other individuals or species for resources. The diversity of foraging strategies observed in nature reflects the different ways animals have adapted to their environments. Practice questions gave previous year questions 1. Recall. Question. According to optimal foraging theory, how should an animal optimize its foraging behavior? Answer. According to optimal foraging theory, an animal should optimize its foraging behavior by maximizing its rate of energy intake while minimizing the energy spent on searching, handling, and processing food. The animal should adjust its foraging behavior based on the availability of resources, the risk of predation, and the costs of acquiring food. 2. Comprehension. Question. Explain how the marginal value theorem, MVT, applies to animals foraging in patchy environments. Answer. The marginal value theorem, MVT, suggests that an animal should leave a foraging patch when the rate of energy gain falls below the average rate of energy gain for the environment. Question. Explain how the marginal value theorem, MVT, applies to animals foraging in patchy environments. Answer. The marginal value theorem, MVT, suggests that an animal should leave a foraging patch when the rate of energy gain falls below the average rate of energy gain for the environment. The animal should consider factors such as patch quality and travel time to new patches. The longer the travel time, the more likely the animal is to stay in a patch for longer periods, even if the rate of energy gain decreases. 3. Application. Question. Design an experiment to test risk-sensitive foraging in a bird species living in an area with high predator density. Answer. An experiment to test risk-sensitive foraging could involve providing a bird species with two types of foraging environments, one with open spaces high predation risk and one with dense cover low predation risk. By observing the bird's foraging behavior in both environments, researchers could determine whether the bird prioritizes safety by foraging in areas with cover over maximizing food intake. This detailed overview of foraging ecology outlines the theoretical and practical aspects of foraging behavior. By understanding these concepts, we can better appreciate how animals make decisions to optimize their energy intake, avoid predation, and adapt to varying environmental conditions. You said, foraging behavior, ChatGPT said, ChatGPT. Foraging behavior, a detailed overview introduction. Foraging behavior refers to the set of actions animals engage in to search for, acquire, and consume food. It is a fundamental aspect of an animal's survival and directly impacts its reproductive success, health, and overall fitness. Foraging is a complex process influenced by numerous factors such as resource availability, competition, predation risk, and the animal's own physiology and sensory capabilities. Foraging behavior is studied within the broader context of behavioral ecology, which examines how animals interact with their environment and make decisions to optimize their chances of survival and reproduction. Key concepts in foraging behavior 1. Optimal foraging theory, OFT. Optimal foraging theory, OFT, is a model that attempts to explain the foraging decisions of animals based on the assumption that they will behave in a way that maximizes their energy intake relative to the time and energy spent on acquiring food.